Hello, everyone. Today, we're looking at an American legend. No, not Donald Trump. It's the Timex Weekender. The Timex Weekender is a budget everyday watch that has one feature that a load of people love and another feature that a load of people hate. The Weekender is going to cost you around £35 if you're in the UK or around $35 if you're in the US. You're getting a slightly better deal if you're in the US on these, which seems to be the case for a lot of products these days. It's a 38mm watch with a brass case, mineral crystal, quartz movement, and 30 meters of water resistance. For me, that's not quite enough water resistance to swim with, but I'm sure there are people out there that would take that risk. It comes with a single pass 20mm nylon strap, and it's got an ace up its sleeve, the Indiglo Backlight. More on that later. You don't see many brass cased watches these days, even at this low price point. The case does have some kind of chrome plating on it, but for me, I'd rather the Weekender was made from stainless steel. Most of the watches competing at this budget will have stainless steel cases these days, but there may be a reason for that brass case. Timex started life as a Waterbury clock company back in 1873 in Waterbury, Connecticut. From what I know, Waterbury was known as the Brass City, so maybe Timex are retaining the brass case to have a little bit of a connection to their heritage in there. Or maybe they're just doing it because it's cheap. Now, for my personal taste, the chrome plating is a little bit too reflective, but it is done well. Whether it stands the test of time, that will remain to be seen. I haven't worn this watch a ton, so I don't know how well it takes damage. On my 6.75-inch wrist, the Weekender is pretty much the perfect fit. It sits well on my wrist, and at just 9mm in depth, it's slim enough that even on a NATO strap, it still doesn't stand that far off my wrist. The lugs do feel quite big on the Weekender, but actually, once you've got it on your wrist, you don't really notice that anymore. And it's comfortable. I've got no issues wearing this watch at all. Plus, you've got those 20mm lugs, which are a dream for people that like to change their straps out. Here's my Weekender on a cheap leather strap that I picked up on AliExpress. Really gives the watch a completely new feel. In particular, I really like the dial on this watch. The Weekender, it's all about versatility. It's a simple design that's very easy to read and has got something of a classic feel to it. I can't really imagine this design ever feeling outdated or out of place with any particular clothing style. It just works. Now, onto the backlight. Timex watches have a feature called Indiglo. It works by pushing the crown in and it illuminates the watch dial, and it is absolutely brilliant, particularly on watches with a white dial, but those with a black dial work well enough too. It is such a good feature, and it almost makes it the perfect bedside companion, if only it weren't for that damned ticking. The Weekender ticks very loudly. In fact, it ticks so loudly that I've completely had to re-record the audio for this video. Naively, I had the microphone too close to the watch and the ticking could be heard throughout. My wife won't even let me have this watch next to the bed at night, so I've reverted to an old Casio instead. Now, some people love the ticking and some people hate it. Generally, I'm a bit indifferent to it, but as I've had to re-record this audio, it's gone down a bit in my estimations. Is it because of the brass case? Probably. Could Timex fix it? Definitely. Will they? I doubt it. I get the feeling that Timex are holding onto the ticking. It's kind of what the Weekender is known for. If you do want a Weekender, but you can't handle the ticking, I've heard that the chronograph doesn't have the same issue, although I can't hang my hat on that because I've never owned the chronograph myself. If I'm completely honest, I didn't really expect to like the Weekender. I've previously owned a Timex Expedition Scout, which I really like the design of, but I just didn't gel with it. I didn't really like the way it felt on my wrist. It kind of felt a bit too big for what it was, and I was expecting to be a bit disappointed by the Weekender too. I didn't even intend on keeping this watch when I bought it, but it's remained in my collection and it still gets a decent amount of wrist time. My final thoughts on the Weekender. It's a good watch that will appeal to a lot of people. In terms of specs, even at the low price point, I feel like it's becoming a little dated now. Most of the watches competing at this budget will have stainless steel cases and better water resistance. If you like the look of the Weekender and you can handle the ticking, and you're not too worried about water resistance, then go for it. If you're looking for something with a little bit higher spec, then maybe it's not the watch for you.